Hey, Pillar Church, I'm here with Pastor Clint, and we want to take some time to talk to you today about a really exciting development in the life of our church that's going to allow us to add someone to our staff team and really provide for the needs of the church. And we want to explain that a little bit to you. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so at the end of last year, I started interacting with a church in Stafford called New Life. I guess it was more toward the middle of last year.
Yeah.
And that church was at a place where they were trying to figure out what the next stage of development was for their congregation. And as I sat down with those elders and started talking with them, I found myself constantly looping back to what's going on at Pillar and explaining what was going on there, and found that their pastor, Ted, sort of the vision for how he'd use his life and what we were doing here at Pillar was really, really aligned. And the more we talked, the more we got the sense that there's some kind of relationship forming here that was meaningful. And Ted really started to feel that he wanted to dedicate this season of his life to this type of work. And so as things developed over the course of the turn of the year and the beginning of 2020, Ted grew increasingly confident that he wanted to align himself with our church and to come and be a part of the ministry that's going on here. And that means big steps of faith for him. But at this point, he's decided to take those steps. He's joined our church. And he and his wife Janine are going to be an incredible part of the church. And we've been on the other side, we've been sort of envisioning a role for serving our military service members and their families. And you've been thinking about that particularly. You've even written some stuff down on it and talked about it quite a lot, but we didn't know who would fill that role. So tell us a little bit about the role that you envision Ted filling.
Yeah, well, within the Praetorian Project, we've encouraged our churches to to create roles that we call Praetorian Project Catalysts, and that's somebody that can come on to fundraise their position and be just aimed at a really specific area of need in a military community and serve that really well for the church, sort of insert themselves into making sure that church is really good at that and meets that need. And so in this Praetorian Project Catalyst role, we just feel like it was an opportunity where Ted's desire and our vision for what we could do to serve military families in this region really came together, and we wanted to take a jump to do that. And so we, particularly for our church, we just really feel like we want to be able to minister around a number of areas of maturity and health, and help people who come here, whether they be singles or married or whatever, to be able to examine where they're at in their general spiritual and emotional health, and to help them strengthen that while they're here, so that as they go back out into other places where they'll serve in their role, that they will feel like this was a time they really got invested in. That of course surrounds certain things like marriage and parenting and finances and other just issues, even as we think about combat trauma and post-traumatic stress that comes from the situations that military members face. Like, man, maybe we can just do a really good job at that here. Well, Ted is uniquely qualified to be able to provide some of that and to focus on that. So rather than just focus on kind of the church and internally and a lot of the things we do in our sort of main disciple thing, he'll focus on these areas and making sure we're really good at it in the context of military life here. And so, man, it's so exciting. And that does mean that we've got some things we've got to work at and accomplish to help him get prepared, because it is a fundraised role. So we've provided a bit of a transition time for him, and we're helping support him for the next couple months so that he can have some time to fundraise and be able to hopefully get to a spot on that fundraising where he can give full-time focus to that here at Pillar.
And really, in a lot of ways, it's a step toward proactivity. We spend a lot of time wishing we could do more ministry at the base that we're not able to do, and wishing we could be more proactive about helping families shore up these areas of their life that are difficult and challenging. But a lot of times, because of the rhythms of ministry, we're responding to needs that have sort of already happened, and we're reacting. And so we're really excited about this. And I as an individual, I've been so encouraged just to get to know Ted and Janine, because they're gifted in so many ways that our church needs these gifts represented in.
It's okay to say lacks.
Yeah, we lack.
We have
yeah.
some of it, but we don't have what we need.
Yeah, we've been a church that we're 15 years old, and we've been a young church.
Spry, excited, trying to do big things.
Though Colby's getting quite gray, and I've been bald for years. All of that, but we are kind of on the younger side as a church, and we have lacked some of the maturity. And with so many of our military service members being on the younger side, we've had a lot of sort of weight on that side of things, and haven't had anybody, certainly on our staff team, that would represent the portion of our congregation that's a little bit older, and certainly be able in a position in life where they could, with a lot of experience and maturity,
real wisdom and confidence.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so
why do you think? I mean, talk to me a little bit about Ted and Janine and kind of their qualities. What would you like people to know about them?
Yeah. Well, anytime you're around them, you're going to be encouraged. They're gifted in encouragement. Ted's one of those guys, few that I interact with, even in the pastorate, that's just saturated in the Word. Almost everything that comes out of his mouth.
Gospel centered. Just loves to think, how does this connect to the gospel? He's
spent so much time in the Word and thinking about the Word and how it applies to everyday life, that every piece of advice is laced with a scriptural truth. And that's so when you're sitting down talking to him, that this guy is communing with God. He's interacting with God. They're humble, they're meek. Even the humility to leave a pastoral role and come to work with some younger guys like us to do this kind of thing. I mean, that's not a normal pastor move.
Right.
And so Janine too, she's kind and gentle. They're hospitable. They're all the right things, and they're going to be a blessing to our congregation in a huge way.
One of the things, they've been married a long time.
Longer
than some of us have been alive, maybe.
Right.
And they have just an infectious love for one another. You
Right.
can see it in their relationship and how they interact. Just a lot of joy in the Lord. They love to serve people. They've raised 3 adult daughters. They know a lot about. That might be some of my personal desire to have them around. I'm going to need some help with that. And they just have the wisdom from going through those experiences. And so it's really exciting to be able to have them not only as a part of our church, but really just focused on ministering in and through Pillar Church. And so we're just so excited to be able to welcome them to the team. And there's a few things we want to just highlight as we close that we want to ask you to do. Number one, would you pray for them? They are making a transition, and a transition that comes with some instability. They're counting on God to provide for their needs. Right. They are going to be fundraising to prepare for this and to be able to do this long term. And so we just pray, you got fundraising contacts, people you think would support this, to help them with being able to focus. That would be great. Just pray that we would be able to help them come up with a good plan for doing that and get situated, and that just God would provide for them so that they aren't distracted by how they'll be cared for. Also, we would ask you to just sort of to prepare yourself to receive them pastorally. We're going to, of course, introduce them in the services and other things, but, we wanted to do this explainer video so you guys had more details. But, as you meet them, and just trust that, these are people that love you and are going to do what they can to help you grow in the gospel. And there's going to be times where even if you reach out to us, we're going to say, I think you should sit down with Ted. And that's good. He's going to be the best equipped to care for the needs that are there. And so just see it as having another pastorally gifted brother around and part of what we're doing. And also, I would say to you, if you're thinking, is this just about military families? I want to say this is really to enrich the life of the whole church in all of these areas of spiritual, emotional health, and relational health, so that we can minister better to a community that has needs. And so be excited about the ways that you can grow. Lean into the ways that they're going to be providing ministry in the church and benefit from that. And then last of all, just pray for their transition. Just pray as they consider the future. They live in Stafford. There's a possibility they would be a part of the future Pillar Stafford plant and things involved there. But they're just praying through their future. I think Ted sees this as a closing season of ministry in a lot of ways before he retires in the future to some degree, and just wants to pour himself out. And just pray that we would be able to help him and just navigate that and just rejoice in what the Lord's using him in.
We miss you guys. and we're looking forward to the time when we can all be back together in full.
Yeah.
We see in part now, but then we will see
Feels
whole.
particularly that way.
And so we're looking forward to that, and thankful for you and the ways that you are continually just pouring into the church, even in this pandemic season. So many churches are suffering and in such disarray and distress right now, and our church is really
So proud of the
feels
church.
in a lot of ways more stable than it's been in the past. Yeah. So we're grateful for you. So thanks so much.
Have a great week.